Hello, it's Amber again and welcome to week 19 of my pregnancy fitness video diaries. So almost halfway through my pregnancy, luckily for me still feeling good. I'll give you a proper update next week when I do reach the halfway mark. But now that we're at that stage, it's time to get to the nitty gritty, and I want to talk today about pelvic floor and pelvic floor exercises. So I think most people watching this will be aware that we're all told to do pelvic floor exercises, particularly during pregnancy and after pregnancy. And there are a few things I kind of want to discuss about this. So first thing is that you want to get the basic understandings of how to use your pelvic floor, how to get the most out of it, and how to get it strong during the pregnancy. You do not want to be trying to establish that connection and find the time to do pelvic floor exercises once you have a tiny baby and you're sleep deprived and your brain isn't working particularly well. So whilst I will strongly encourage in the postnatal period that you do continue to do these exercises, now is the time to get on it. And as I say, if you're with me and you're halfway through your pregnancy, don't leave it any longer. Okay, the next thing to talk about is the fact that probably what you've heard about pelvic floor exercises is that you should be doing kegels, the traditional pelvic floor exercise, which involves, usually you're told, imagine you're trying to stop the flow of urine, or if you're talking about the posterior pelvic floor, then imagine that you are trying not to break wind, connecting with those muscles, and then imagining a lift and going up different layers. Now, that in itself is absolutely better than doing nothing. So, if that's what you've been doing, great. But what we need to realise is that your pelvic floor does not exist on its own. It is not a standalone entity, and working the pelvic floor in that very strict fashion of just pulling your pelvic floor up is not going to really work when it comes to real life and functional exercise. And the bottom line is your pelvic floor loves movement within reason. So by learning how to incorporate pelvic floor exercises with your normal routine, you're going to get a lot more out of it. We're really going to strengthen that pelvic floor properly. Okay, so as I say, you've got to establish that your pelvic floor is not an isolated muscle. Nothing in your body is isolated. Everything works together. So we need to work out how to incorporate that. So the first thing to do is to think about how pelvic floor tension increases when you exhale. So I'm going to get you to do this with me, and sometimes I'll be continuing to talk. But I'm sitting on a nice hard chair, so I want you to sit upright properly on your sit bones, so on the hard bony-ish part of your bum, feet flat on the floor. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose, and then I want you to exhale all the air. Okay, so keep doing that for me, inhaling deeply and exhaling. Now, what you should notice, and if you find this isn't the case, then you need to address this immediately, but when you're exhaling, your tummy should be flattening. Your tummy should be going down. When you inhale, the tummy should rise. When you exhale, the tummy should flatten. And if you continue to exhale all the way until the last breath is out, you should feel a tension in your tummy. You should feel a contraction there, and you should also feel that in your pelvic floor. If you don't consciously feel it in your pelvic floor, I want you to now think about your pelvic floor as you do that exhalation. So, as I say, rather than thinking of stopping the flow of urine, I like to imagine if you were sitting or hovering over a grape, and I know this is a bit of a weird analogy, but imagine you were going to try and suck that grape up into the vagina. So imagine how that feels. That's the feeling you're looking for. And then if you get very good at that, you can imagine something smaller like a raisin until you get down to being a grain of rice person, and you could imagine sucking up a grain of rice. Okay? So that's the feeling you're looking for. So again, take a deep breath in and then exhale. I'm going to continue talking, but I want you to keep exhaling. And as you start to feel that tension through the tummy, think of your pelvic floor. Imagine lifting up that grape. Imagine you're trying to suck it up. Okay, good. So what we've got here is, if you think of the bones of your pelvis, you've got your two sit bones side to side, and then at the front of the pelvis, you've got your pubis, and at the back, you've got the coccyx. I unfortunately don't have a model of a pelvis with me now, but if you think of those 4 bony points front and back, you're going to do this again, inhaling deeply, exhale all the air out, so slowly exhaling, feel the tummy flatten. And now, as you imagine trying to suck up that grape, think of bringing your pubis to coccyx, so pulling up, and think of bringing your sit bones together, okay? So what you should be feeling on the end of that exhalation is a much deeper connection to your pelvic floor compared with when you just sit and imagine trying to lift your pelvic floor up, okay? So that's the first thing, is we think of the breath. As you exhale, feel the natural tightening. Number 2, as you exhale and start to draw in, visualize the bones coming together, your sit bones moving together and up, your pubis to coccyx coming together and up. Add that in, okay? They're the next things you need to do, and that should really deepen your pelvic floor tension, and that will get you the basics much better. Now, on top of that, as I said before, your pelvic floor doesn't exist in isolation. That's why when you feel your tummy beginning to flatten, and as you exhale in your diaphragm, which is at the top of your core structure, as they contract, so too does your pelvic floor. But there are other muscles that have a massive impact, which is where the movement side comes in. Now, one of the muscles that really connects into your pelvic floor is your adductors. So they're the muscles on your inner thigh that connect right up into your pelvis there. So what I want you to do now is we're layering this in, we're adding more each time. I want you to you can make a fist, and you will place the fist between your thighs. I know you probably can't see that properly now, but I'm just holding my fist between my thighs. You could also use a cushion or a foam roller, or if you have one of those little Pilates balls, a soft Pilates ball, you can stick that between your knees. But what you're going to do is now we will do the exhalation. You will visualize bringing pubis to coccyx, sit bone to sit bone, feel everything tightening and the tension increasing. And then at the same time, at the end of that exhalation, you are going to squeeze your thighs together, either against your fist or your foam roller or whatever it is you're holding. And that will deepen that contraction even more. Okay, so again, we'll do this together. Make a nice deep breath in. Belly should go out. And then you're going to exhale. Keep exhaling until you get to the bottom. Apologies for the phone interruption and the slight blip in the video. But as I was saying, we're now going to add in the squeeze of the thighs. So either against your fist, as long as that doesn't make you twist, you should be nice and square, or with a foam roller or cushion between your knees, okay? So you're going to take a lovely deep breath in. Then you're going to exhale all the air, and I want you to keep exhaling. And as you start to feel that tension, remember, you're going to visualize bringing your pubis to coccyx, lifting up, sucking up that grape. Okay, I know that is a weird analogy, but keep lifting. And then just as you get to the end of your breath, squeeze the thighs together really, really hard. And you should feel automatically that massively increases the tension in your pelvic floor. Okay, so those are kind of 3 initial things I want you to do rather than just doing traditional Kegels. I want you to use that exhalation, feel the breath. 2, add in that visualization, your 2 sit bones pulling together, your pubis to coccyx pulling up. And then finally, to add in that adduction of squeezing the thighs together against something to create more tension and really activate the pelvic floor. Now, beyond that, we can then start to use this breathing and these techniques when you actually do some of your exercises. So for example, when you are squatting or deadlifting, we can actually use that breath to make sure that you've got the perfect amount of tension. But I will show you that in a later video because I think you've got enough to be getting on with. But the idea is we create submaximal tension. So we don't want to be doing this whole pulling your belly button to spine. That tends to create a false contraction there. What we want is submaximal, and that will come with that lovely exhalation, the use of the breath, and then the visualization of the pelvic floor lifting up. So try and practice that. You should be doing this as regularly as you possibly can. You know, it doesn't matter whether I say do it every day or 3 times a day. You know, everybody's going to be different to what they actually manage to do, but do incorporate this. It's so important. And if you can get this connection now, it will be so much easier in the postpartum period to really make the most of this. Okay, so pelvic floor homework, do go away and practice this, and I will show you how to integrate it in a later video. Okay, thanks again for watching. Bye.